Okay, so we have another letter here. It's about letters of recommendation. I guess I'll read it, Anne, and hear what you have to say. This is from Anonymous. Good evening. I first wanted to thank you for creating the demon. You're welcome. With your classes, my score went from a 143 diagnostic to a 163 on July's LSAT. Wow. After getting my score, I was excited about applying to law school this fall and began to send out my requests for letters of recommendation. An attorney I work for and 2 professors from undergrad all agreed to write my letters of recommendation. Thus far, I have only received 2 of them. I'm waiting on a 3rd letter of recommendation from my mentor professor. I feel like this professor knows me best and would write a powerful letter of recommendation. However, I'm going on 3 months without the letter of rec, and he's basically non-responsive. He told one of my friends who's taking his class that writing my letter is on his radar, but he has more important things to handle right now. I'm starting to wonder if I should say, fuck it. Sorry, this podcast is
that offends me greatly. Yes.
Fuck it and just send in my applications without it. I considered asking another attorney for one instead. I'm only hesitant because every blog and podcast I have listened to advises submitting 2 academic letters of recommendation. I think I'm a moderately strong candidate given my okay LSAT score and strong GPA 3.91. I also believe I have a strong resume, but I attached it in case you were interested. Oops, we don't have that. Okay, here's the last part. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck to do, and I'm stressed because I plan on having all of my applications done by now. Please give me some advice. I'm starting to get frantic. Feel free to use this question on the podcast. Blah, blah, blah.
Awesome. Okay, this is so typical, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say. I would do one last ditch effort and say to the professor in email, I am submitting all my applications next Friday. If you can get your letter in by then, that would be awesome. Sometimes I'm the daughter of a professor. Sometimes they just need a fire lit under their asses. I mean, and if that doesn't do it, you go for it and you apply with the 2 you have 100%. Don't wait any longer to apply, get your stuff in. If that professor later submits the letter, you can assign it to the schools and be sent later, but just go ahead and apply, get your stuff in. You've been waiting 3 months for this person, give them one last chance, wait 4 days, give them a Friday deadline, whatever it is, and then just move on. But I wouldn't angst over the fact that you only have one professor and then a professional letter. I would just get it done.
Devil's advocate, maybe the letter isn't going to be as good as you think it's going to be. If he hasn't written it for 3 months, I mean, maybe he just doesn't like you that much.
It could be that. This doesn't sound like that, saying the person says it's a mentor, etc. But the reason I went oof when they said the part about he has more important things to do, or she has more important things to do, to me it's like, well, that's such an asshole thing to say. Like, this is part of their job too. I mean, and so maybe it won't be that amazing of a letter, but and so you have to go with your hunch on that. And either way, the conclusion's the same. Go forward with the 2 you've got.
It's old advice, right? That you have to have 2 academic letters.
Depends on the school. Some schools, like Columbia, I think actually says they want 2 letters unless you've been out of school a certain amount of years. So it's not unusual, but I don't think this is a deal breaker at any school. You have one strong academic letter. You've got a strong letter from someone you've worked for. I would say just move forward with your applications.
If you've been
Don't hold your applications back.
Yeah, if you've been out of school for like 5 years,
I don't expect an academic letter in that case.
No academic letters at all, right? Nobody's in touch with their
no.
professors from 5 years ago from undergrad.
No, but often those people do have graduate school professors they can use. Often, not always. So that's a whole different thing than this person's anonymous letter. But I would say, give the person one more chance and then go forward with what you've got.
Awesome.
Okay. Is 2 the minimum? I just get these questions all the time.
2's the minimum.
2's the minimum. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the max, do you recommend more? People ask this, I don't know, all the time. I'm like, I don't care.
So my thing is, if a school accepts more letters and you feel very good, they're all equally strong, I'm good with submitting the max number of letters a school allows. If you feel like one is weaker than the others, I would leave it out. I want everything super strong. More is not necessarily better, just better is better.
These days, how many professors end up letting the person see the letter?
I don't have a statistic on that, but it's not unheard of. Professors are less likely to do it than employers. I mean, employers are more likely to say, please write the first draft yourself and send it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something I often help people with, and I have examples of those in the book as well.
We've got another email here, Anne, that is perfect for you. But before we move off of letters of recommendation, the advice remains that you should always waive your right to see the letters.
Correct. It doesn't mean you haven't seen them. Correct. You have to check the box waiving your right through LSAT, but it doesn't mean you haven't seen the letter. It means you're not going to sue them to see the letter.
And if you don't check that box,
there's a credibility thing there. It's like, people see that and they think, well, maybe you were worried about the letter, or someone would change what they would write because they know you might see it. So that's why you check the box.
Right. Okay. Here's this next email. Go ahead, Ben.
Really quick. One last question on this. What advice do you give to people who have to write their own letter? I get a lot of angst about that.
Sure. So stick to facts, examples of things you're trying to show. So instead of just saying, Marley is a brilliant young person, talk about, I was really impressed with Marley's ability. I gave her this assignment to research X and Y. I was really impressed with how the questions she asked were on point. She figured things out on her own. She came to a conclusion that surprised me and was able to back it up. I want details, facts. That makes a really strong letter.